Prisons, the issue of prisons as well. Biological men going into female prisons.
But they're
But
no longer the
but
biological
they're no longer
men.
They're no longer biological men. Okay,
They're
fine.
women.
They're women.
Even if they haven't transitioned, they're still women.
They're still women.
Like,
Yeah.
if they're transgender and they haven't transitioned medically, they're
Yeah.
still women.
Okay.
So would you have said in this instance, feelings trump facts? Would you have, if someone was to say to you, what about biology, and they play that card, would you have said, no, what matters is what someone's feeling rather than actual fact, like biological science?
Yeah, I think to some degree, because human emotions are incredibly complex, and the idea of identity is incredibly complex.
Yeah.
And I think takes precedent over just facts on a paper, I think. And,
Sure.
Debating scientific facts.
Oh, we're here at Sussex University today. We made a special
Jesus.
effort to come down to what is called one of the wokiest universities that we've got. We're here to see just what's happened with our institutions. We're going to be interviewing students to find out just how woke they are, the specific topics to do with gender and with transgender. As you can see, I'm in my Christmas jumper. We're ready to rock and roll. Let's find out just how mental they are. Are there more than two genders? Let's start off with that.
Yeah.
There are more than two genders?
Yes, of course.
Of course. The conviction. I love it. So help me out here. What are they? Can we talk about them? Can we name them?
Well, there's obviously the binary male and female, if you want that, and then there's some people that are non-binary, and then
So we know about the two binary.
yeah, and then non-binary. There's some people might be gender fluid or
There's agender.
Gender fluid, agender. What's agender?
It's where you're outside of gender, so you don't really identify with any gender, and it's just some days you feel like you.
Agender. Oh, I see. Okay. So what does that look like then? Oh wow. So in practical application in life, just in general, what does that look like?
I don't anything. It can be whatever you want. Like, I don't think gender needs to have a specific look. If you want to identify a certain way, then identify a certain way, as long as I'm going to be respectful of you no matter how you look.
But would you support kids transitioning?
Yeah, especially because most puberty blockers are reversible. So if they do change their mind.
Did she just say most of the surgeries are reversible? Are you fucking... Okay, let's keep going.
There's no actual harm to the person's body. Obviously, I think surgery wise, that should be something discussed at a later age, but transitioning socially, there's no issue with it. And
Transitioning socially being not actual surgery, but in terms of gender fluidity.
Yeah, and just changing your name, changing your pronouns, whatever that may be to a person, I think at whatever age.
We get to experiment with fashion, we get to experiment with sexuality. Why can't we experiment with what gender we are?
So fashion, I've heard this before, it's quite interesting. So fashion and other such social norms and values isn't the same as the gender. There's a higher step up, I would have said. Would you have said that? Would you agree it's the same? Like what drink I choose to drink in a pub isn't the same as whether I should become a different gender.
But at the same time, it should be just accepted to that level. It's like, oh, they've decided that they want to be male today. Well, okay, that's their choice.
What line do we draw with regards to children? So can a 6-year-old decide that it's the wrong gender?
I mean,
once they can talk, once they can communicate, obviously.
I mean, 6-year-olds have some of the best ideas in the world. If you've ever had a conversation with a 6-year-old, it's the most amazing.
The idea and concept of gender isn't 6-year-olds are able to grasp that concept, and if they are able to say something's wrong with how I am choosing to be presented, 6-year-olds aren't stupid. And I think it's why not?
You get labeled with terms such as tomboys as kids. Why can't it just be more expressed? Actually, I think I feel more like a boy. Because there's no way for anyone to define how I feel as a female may be different from how Alara feels. So it could be just dependent on the person.
Do you see any negative consequences, negative ramifications? Do you see any, as a liberal checkpoint, do you see any consequences of this line that we're going down? Just in terms of a checkpoint, guys, I've heard what you said, but do you see any, there's always good and bad to things. Do you see any negative consequences, outcomes?
I think one negative is some people may see it as a bit of a trend, and they may just, I don't want to what's the word?
You don't want to missell your own
I
idea.
don't want to disqualify anybody's identity or sexuality, but some people may just go, because it's such a hot topic in a sense.
It's trending, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, because we're as a generation, we are a lot more open about it, but because of that, people may attempt to jump on a bandwagon. Does that make...
Well, the head of the Labour Party say that you can't say that only women have cervix. That's a big message to 65 million people, isn't it? So people are going to hijack that, aren't they, for the wrong reasons? Some people will use that. Not everyone's as good and as benevolent as we are they?
I guess, but I just personally think like there isn't like, even if it is a trend, who cares that much? Like,
yeah, they jump on it as a trend. They haven't just said what I said. It's still their right to explore. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's, if they jumped on it for the trend for the wrong reasons, it's a bad thing.
Sure. So that's one possible negative. What about women coming away from gender and about supporting trans? What about trans rights in sport? So female decide to become a male and then competing in female sports.
Well, we're both on the rugby team.
Yeah.
So I have no issues with it, because generally when most trans, especially trans women, are choosing to compete in sport, they've already gone through generally hormone replacement therapy. So their testosterone, which is, let's be honest, most people are talking about testosterone. Their testosterone levels are already lower than many women may have.
Yeah.
So I honestly don't think there's much of an issue, because.
What about the other way around then, when male goes to female? So biological male transitions to a female and competes in female
That's
sports.
what I was talking about. Yeah.
You said that. Sorry, you said there's lower testosterone levels.
Because they've transitioned.
Sure, but they're still so they're not biologically male anymore, as far as you're concerned.
Well, they're not male. No,
Once they've transitioned across.
Yeah, they're female. Like, I don't think there's any reason for them not to be in sport.
So
Like,
it's not a negative. That wouldn't be a negative.
No.
What about safe spaces for women and shared bathrooms and things like that? And
they're female.
So why would that matter then?
sorry, can you say?
They're identified as female. They believe they're female, so they're female.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Same-sex bathrooms, etc., etc. Prisons. The issue of prisons as well. Biological men going into female prisons.
But they're
But
no longer biological men.
They're no longer biological men. Okay,
They're
fine.
Women.
They're women.
Even if they haven't transitioned, they're still women.
They're still women.
Like,
Yeah.
if they're transgender and they haven't transitioned medically,
Yeah.
they're still women.
They're still women.
They deserve, and they're going to, for starters, be put in a much worse place than they're put into male prisons, which is something that you see every day.
So women are.
Trans women, if they're stuck in male prisons, are put in a much worse position than anything that they could do in women's prisons, due to the gender-based violence and anti-trans violence that they experience in prisons.
Okay. Well, I think that's pretty great. I really appreciate that, guys. and that's definitely the best. That's the best sort of interview that we could get. So thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I'll just ask you some straight questions.
This is incredible. This is really incredible. All right. They didn't even understand the joke. Any normal person would understand the joke. But all these progressives, they are far too gone in their own head that they can't even realize what he was doing. Anyway, let's continue. This is funny as hell.
Do you think there are more than two genders?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. And could you name some of them for me?
Male, female, and then an umbrella of non-binary genders.
Oh, that's interesting. An umbrella of non-binary. But an umbrella, as you say, the umbrella. So there could be 50, 60, 100.
Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I see it split in like sort of three in that way, but yeah. What do we know?
Oh, okay, fine. So, okay, that's pretty straight. So there's lots of different genders. Do you think people should be able to identify as any? It should be socially acceptable for people to identify as whatever they choose in terms of gender.
Yeah, I don't think it harms anybody if you don't.
Oh, okay. Okay. So live and let live, basically. So if I was to identify tomorrow as a female, if that's how I felt, and I'd been feeling like this for some years, you'd be okay with that. If we were friends, for example.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What about transgender and kids? Do you think that it's okay to be in pushing, branding, marketeering, any of the above, profiteering, even pushing the agenda of trans on children? Do you think that's okay?
I think the most important thing is if a kid speaks about their gender, then you listen to them and take them seriously, because that's proven to have better outcomes for that kid. So if a kid wants to change their name, their clothes, hairstyle, whatever, then like do that, support them in that.
Of course, but those choices aren't the same as your gender, are they?
No, but if it's coming from a place where they're feeling bad about their gender, then that's fine.
So if a 30-year-old couple or a 40-year-old couple had an 8-year-old child, and that child completely unfiltered on its own, of its own accord, through whatever it's seen and heard, said, I want to be this, the parent should take action and essentially push the idea rather than disable it.
It's not so much pushing, like listen to the kid, let them guide you in it. Like
let them guide the parent.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Thank you. That's great. That's very kind of you. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Uni aren't accepting that. Who the fuck is?
I'm talking about our institutions here, so
Yeah.
it's quite a big topic. So on that, that's very, very kind and very useful of you. Would you be able to name any genders for me? I mean, obviously I know about two of them.
So there's female.
This is where she tells me she's a gender PhD student.
I'm not, but I do run LGBTQ events.
Yeah,
Of
sure.
course you
And
do.
safe spaces for everyone.
So yeah, go on then. So yeah,
So female,
Yeah.
male, non-binary,
yeah,
trans,
yeah,
students. There's so many more. I'm female identified myself, so
yeah.
but so I don't really feel like it's my place.
Sure.
But the thing is,
You're allowed
like,
to do that though, right? You're allowed to identify as what you
Yeah,
want.
yeah,
If they can, you
exactly.
can. Do you see any potential consequences? Because there's consequences for everything.
Well, I think there's a lot of people that are angry because they don't understand.
So a lot of division, a lot of anger.
and division, it creates war,
It creates war.
and that is just not what it's about.
That's not what we want it to be about.
No, it's about community and respect and love for each other, and that's all it is.
And what about getting more specific and closing up now? I appreciate your time. What about the issue of safe spaces for women and bathrooms
It's important. It's important.
and women not wanting to be
But
with
trans
biological?
women are women.
Oh, I see. So so men wanting to become women who go through that process
Trans women.
are biological women. They can become biological women.
No, not biologically.
No, in terms of
But-
gender identification.
Gender over identification. Trans women are women.
Yeah.
They have been women. So gender and sex is a completely different.
They're
thing.
two different things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And gender.
Why are they not getting the joke? This guy is making fun of them. They're not even understanding.
is what you identify as when, and that also
Social
cuts out.
construct.
It cuts out. It cuts out such a big group of people who, like people that weren't assigned their right birth
Sure.
when they were born.
Yeah.
And it cuts out like them from the entire equation.
Good point. But then that would transfer into sports as well, as far as you're concerned.
Yeah. I think
If so, for example, in contact sports, boxing, rugby, the really nasty stuff where we get hurt. Speaking from experience, that's you're completely fine with if a man identifies as a woman, if she's gone through whatever,
trans women, yeah.
if whatever they've gone through, then they should be treated equally as that gender and within all domains that we're referring to.
Yes.
Okay, I really appreciate your time.
No worries.
Thank you so much.
This is crazy, yo. And when you kind of notice this trend is all women, mostly women that are pushing this, that are supporting it, that are driving it. I know, women, well, there's a lot of theories on this, why that is, but women, I swear to God, women, oh man. This is insane, yo. Like you send your child to college and then they become this. This is scary. Like this is really scary. I mean, if my child comes and tells me that I don't want to go to college, I just want to, specialize on something, maybe a business, I would be very, very, very happy. Like it would be like a burden has been lifted off my shoulders, because knowing that I could send my child, my lovely, beautiful little girl, to college, and then she comes home as this is scary. This is really scary. Anyway, and the thing is, I wouldn't even wish this on my worst enemy. Like I wouldn't wish, because this is an ideology. An ideology eats up your brain. They have no room for logic. This ideology has no room for, there's nothing, it's not logical, it's not logic based. It's just all feelings and feelings and feelings. You're just sounding like a crazy person. Anyway, it was a good video. I mean, the guy was just making fun of him. The guy was just making fun of all of them, and they didn't even get the joke because, well, they were the joke. Anyway, if you like the video, please hit the like button, hit the share button, leave your comments down below. I always love to read them, and if you may, please subscribe. You have a good one.